Good morning.
Morning. I know we've got
Just took
some
me a minute
people
to figure out how
watching.
to do that.
Yeah, no, cat. Um, yeah, I know there's a few people watching already and trying to get this set up. So we were good to go at 10. So I guess we'll wait and see what happens. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I don't think there's enough coffee in the world for today, but there usually isn't. Let's see. Let's see if we've got three. There have been four. I've seen a few people bounce, and we had some interest. I don't delete videos from the page, so this will stay up, and
Okay.
we'll both be able to respond in comments later for anybody who missed it. Let me see if I can put anything, the laptop out too. So got people in here and some communication going before I needed my note. Being bilingual pain sometimes. All right. If anybody's out there and you have questions or anything, or you want to just have us jump in, I know most of it's on the page because I loaded it up yesterday after republishing. We can get this started and we can get his side out. Anybody who's been following the page for as many years as I've had it up knows Lewis and what his normal is, and this is outside of his normal, so I'm just going to kind of give a rundown. Lee, I know did you know about Lewis before any of this?
I did not. I did not. I mean, this is really new to me. um, this all began, at least on my side of it, when, Sarah and I split up in the fall of 2018 now. So, 3.5 years ago, essentially. And, yeah, it's been just a saga, it's just been a journey. And, all the ironic thing about this entire situation is that all of it could have been avoided. It all could have been completely avoided if you had two people that were willing to co-parent. I mean, a lot of people in this world go through situations where they are in a relationship and they have a child, and for whatever reason, that relationship does not endure. And they figure out a way to co-parent. And our situation, yeah, maybe a little bit different because I moved out to Washington State, and they continued to live in Idaho, which is not ideal, of course, but a lot of people do that too.
Right.
And so, it's beyond unfortunate that it's gotten to this level, and there's absolutely no reason for it. It didn't have to be this way. It didn't have to unfold the way it has. And the recent developments are just ridiculous. I mean, just completely ridiculous. None of it was needed. None of it was necessary. And the allegations, I mean, are just, I can barely keep up with all of them. But, it's funny because in the beginning, when we first began litigation, which was like January of 2019, in an Idaho court at the time, Sarah had at that point had fled to Arizona with River and was living in Arizona for a year and a half. And when this all began, I remember talking to my attorney then, and my attorney at the time was like, were there reasons why this happened? I mean, what was the reason? And to put it more specifically, was there domestic violence that was occurring that would have driven either one of you to this? And the answer is no. I mean, I remember laughing. I remember I said to him, I said, I take spiders outside. I'm just not that person. I wasn't raised that way. That's not the person that I am. And, I stand behind that. And that's my view on it. I mean, there's just, and in our first order, the first court order that we had, which was a temporary order, January of 2019, where I got very limited visitation with my son. I had to pay to travel to go see him. And for a period of time, I wasn't able to do that. I couldn't financially make that work, as well as pay child support, as well as pay an attorney, all the things that you deal with when you're in this type of a situation. And, I was very limited visitation. I had to, of course, pay child support. And, in our very first order, it says there is no evidence of domestic violence by either party in this situation. And I would challenge anyone out there to come up with some concrete evidence that they can show that I am some sort of an abuser. Show us the evidence. Show it to us.
Right. Show
us a police report, a photograph, a actual documented call, a interaction, a medical record, anything of any kind. If you can show anything, and I know you can't because I was there, then maybe there'd be something to go on, but there just isn't. And the fact that this continues to be the narrative, obviously is enormously frustrating to me, but just because the allegations continue to be made doesn't make them true. I mean, that's just the reality of it. And so, this began slowly, and initially I wasn't able to visit my son as much as I would have liked. And then in the spring of 2020, my situation changed. I was able to visit more, and I ended up spending, I counted it up recently, and I think it was like 45 days with River over a period of I think it was 16 months or something. So basically from the spring of 2020 all the way through the following winter and the next year. And, it's kind of funny. I mean, as limited as time as I got, I thought to myself, it was all quality time. And there's actually a lot of parents out there who I think would want to spend that much time with their kids if they could. I mean, a lot of parents work, they travel for work, they are, we live in a society where people have to work extremely hard to make it. And I'm no different. And so I was juggling being self-employed, having to keep up with all of my own business, and also having to travel every time that I wanted to see my son, which was ideally every single month. I mean, there were months that I missed. There was a month I missed when I had to have surgery on my foot last year, and I had to miss a month, and I didn't like doing that. And so, I did get a lot of time with him, and we have a great bond. And then, that kind of unfolded, and then we got to, I guess it was the fall of 2021. So we're at September of 2021 at this point. And, we're in litigation the whole time. There's hearings happening and all of this. And we had a trial at the end of August last year. And that was 3 days long. Sarah represented herself at trial. I had an attorney who you probably all know about at this point. And, it was the court trial that you go through when you get to the end of a family court matter. And it was something that we had been prepping for a long time, and that's very customary. It's a standard way that they come up with a final decision as far as what co-parenting will look like. And going into that, I kind of figured they would probably do something that was very average for people of our socioeconomic background, age, all the things that you would think about. I mean, I figured we would share custody. And I figured that,
Right.
Sarah and River would probably live in Idaho or somewhere, and I would go visit, and as best I could, and we would go forward with that situation. And that was what I was assuming. And I think any parent would probably assume that that's what they're going to do. Courts don't really like to make extreme type of rulings. That's just not what they like to do. And this judge certainly, I don't think, was in that vein. And we're on our third judge now. So, it's gone from a couple different judges. And Sarah went through, I think it was like 5 or 6 different attorneys because they kept letting her go. Because I think, and we were never told why, but I think that it's because the attorneys wouldn't put up with her antics and the way that she was approaching the court process. They just simply wouldn't put up with it. And I think it damaged their professional reputation by trying to engage in this type of behavior. And so a lot of them just walked. So we got to the trial. We went through the trial, and the state of Idaho declared a mistrial because of issues with the recording equipment at the trial, which was like crazy. It's something I had never heard of before. And after that, so we get to, I guess it was like September, October of last year, the judge came to us and, said that they had unfortunately had this technical issue. They declared the mistrial, and we were slated to have another trial, which was crazy. Yeah. And I mean, it was very unfortunate, but when you're in a situation like this, you just keep going. So I was thinking, okay, well, we're back to the drawing board. We're going to do, and I guess one other thing to note is at the trial, this first trial in August, we were assigned a court-appointed parenting evaluator, which is customary for cases of this type. Very standard. I think probably, I would be surprised if all 50 states don't do that in some capacity. And they assigned somebody that was appointed by the court. Well, they ended up assigning 2 people. One of them recused themselves because of something that Sarah did, and then the other one ended up going through that evaluation process. And I was interviewed by this individual for 8 hours, okay? 8 hours over, I think, 3 or 4 different sessions. I shared video, extensive video of me and River at our in-person visits over the previous 6 months, probably. I shared photos, video. I was interviewed. I filled out a questionnaire that was I wrote probably an essay. It was probably 4 or 5 pages long. I answered questions with this guy. He had been, and by the way, he's been doing it 25 years. He's licensed in the state of Idaho to perform these. He's performed over 80 of these in his career. Not his first rodeo. And, he would have been happy to interview Sarah and, and see her interactions with our son and, look at all of that. And really, I think if she had been willing to participate in that process, the outcome probably would have been different. But Sarah sent him some sort of letter that she wanted him to sign, like some sort of release or affidavit, and he wasn't willing to sign it because that's not standard in matters like this. So she essentially declined to participate in that evaluation. And this evaluator had not seen anyone do that in his career. He had seen 2 people decline, like 2 people together, a married couple decline, but not 1 out of 2. He had never seen it before in his career. He's been doing this 25 years. So that was unfortunate because I think that probably would have led to us having some sort of joint custody or something like that, or one thing that could have helped move us in that direction. And let me make it clear that brings me to a point that I really want to drive home, and that is, I do not look at this in the same way that Sarah does. I want River to have his mother in his life. Let me say it again. I want him to have his mother in his life because I believe that kids need both parents in their lives. I know it from my upbringing, my experience. My parents are divorced. They're both remarried. They've had new families. And I just believe that you need both parents. That's just my take on it. And I continue to think that. And that's just my viewpoint on that. So I would never have engaged in this type of behavior where I would try to deprive our son of the other person. That's just not something that I would do. So anyway, so fast forward to October of 2021. So this is only, I guess, like five months ago or something. The court says that they've declared a mistrial, and I think as a sort of, a change in approach, they took our temporary order at that point and they modified it substantially. So, up until then, I had 4 days a month of visitation, and I think like 3 hours a day or 4 hours a day on those days. So not much, like 12 hours a month or something. And right. In October of last year, they increased that to 2 4-day weekends per month with overnights. So you're looking at 8 days a month total, which is reasonable and customary for a kid of his age when the parents don't live in the same place. And I've talked to several attorneys about this. I've talked to, different people who are familiar with these things, and that's what I'm being told, is that that's the normal thing. And to be totally honest, I don't know that I would have been able to exercise that much visitation in the first year because it's enormously expensive and time consuming. And I have a job. I have to work. I have responsibilities I have to take care of. And so realistically, could I have done that every month? Probably not. Probably could have. Maybe some months I'd do 1 weekend. Maybe some months I would do 2. Maybe some months something would come up, a big issue, and I wouldn't be able to do it at all. And so that is what they ordered last fall. And this was in October. And, Sarah obviously took huge issue with that. And I would invite people to go through the court record, which, if you feel like reading that many pages, it is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages. And a lot of it consists of, and it's what the court calls Sarah's descent into defiance and paranoia. And she's writing just volumes of, you really have to read it to really understand the full breadth and scope of what she's trying to say. And I don't even understand all of it, but just court filing, just filings after filings after filings. Motion after motion after motion. And so she took great issue with the fact that they increased my visitation. This was a huge problem for her. And I exercised that bigger visitation schedule, or the 4 days and several overnights once, and that was at the end of October, right around Halloween. I had a regular visit of that type and size, and I had I had other visits planned. I went and tried to visit in November, and I also was given some holidays because of the modified schedule, and one of those holidays was Christmas. So I went in November and I think it was around Thanksgiving time. And then I went over Christmas for like a week, and I tried to visit in November and December. She did not communicate with me about those visits. And then when I went to exercise them, so mind you, I am getting on a plane, flying to Idaho, getting an Airbnb or a hotel, renting a rental car. This is $1,500 to $2,000 per time, not including the time that I'm off work to do this. So we're talking 5 days at a minimum. The Christmas visit was like over a week. It was like 8 days. I go and I do this, and she doesn't show up. She doesn't communicate and then doesn't show up. That happened twice. So that was November and December of just this past November, December. And my attorney was filing motions for contempt, emergency, all kinds of things to try to handle that. And again, this is another example where this could have all been avoided. If Sarah had just shown up for those visits, we probably wouldn't be where we are right now. Because honestly, like I said, I want him to have his mom in his life ideally, and I just, it just doesn't benefit us to be in this extreme type of a situation. So, that happened, and then they were trying to figure out the new trial date of when the next trial was going to be after the mistrial, and that was going on. And we had another hearing after these things occurred, and that was kind of, as we got into the new year. And they basically said, okay, let's try this again. So we tried one last visit, and that was supposed to be in February, just this past February. And she did it again. She didn't show up for that either. And that was so counting when I tried to visit him in Arizona, I flew to Arizona twice and my visit was denied. That was in the summer of 2020. And then she did it 3 more times in Idaho. So we go November, December, and then this most recent one. So we're looking at 5 times. 5 times I have gotten on an airplane, flown to another state, made arrangements. I've done the math. We're talking $10,000 in travel expenses. And I wasn't able to see him. I wasn't able to see River. And when the last time that happened was in February, we had a hearing about that. My attorney filed an emergency petition at that point. We had a hearing, and that was when the judge issued what's called an order to appear, where he said, I want to know where River is. And Sarah has been concealing her address from the court for going on 2 years now. And she's claiming to be part of this Idaho address confidentiality program, which apparently is a program set up to protect people who are victims of domestic violence, which, by the way, I fully support. And well, anyway, to make a long story short, she is no longer a participant in the Idaho Address Confidentiality Program. We received a letter from that organization basically saying that they are no longer a part of that. And we also received, because the court ordered it, we received the application that she submitted to become part of that program. And nowhere in that application does it even have any evidence of any domestic violence or any reason why she should be participating in that program. And she's no longer in it. So there you go. So, we don't know where River is and Sarah are at the time of this. And then that's when they issued this order to appear. She was ordered to appear with my son at the courthouse. And she told the judge, our judge, at this hearing that she would not go. She's not going to comply. And she didn't show up. So that's why, and we at this point, they had slated another trial, new trial dates to be at the end of March. That was going to happen. We were going to have another trial, and she was going to have another opportunity to make her case. And I think probably if she had just complied with some of these visits and maybe done the parenting evaluation, we probably would have been in a joint custody type of a situation. So we get to, we get there, and then she doesn't appear, and that is when the judge issued the temporary, custody change, which he told her at the hearing that he was going to do. He said to her, if you do not show up at this, order to appear, then I'm going, well, he had already changed custody when I missed my 5th visit, but he basically said, I will vacate the trial and I will change custody permanently. And that's what happened. And just to emphasize again, none of this had to happen this way. This could have all been avoided. I really don't know why, and I've been asked it often. Why is Sarah doing this? Why is she doing this? And then, after that, or kind of around that time, was when we received this communication from this Aurthur individual, who, like I said, until a few weeks ago, I had never heard of. And apparently he is helping her and harboring her and whatever he's doing. And then, then we got into this pattern of intimidation and threats and online threats and all of that. And that has just gone on and on and on. And it's not helpful. It's not, none of it is accurate at all. I mean, it's just complete fabrication on all accounts. And there is some sort of ultra right-wing agenda that is being, foisted or used to justify this, this situation. And yeah, I mean, it's just really unfortunate. And that's kind of, that's kind of how we got here. It's unfortunate. Sarah and I have not communicated via phone in a long time. We used to communicate over the last couple of years via email, and even, I mean, the email communication was very, very minimal, but I would let her know that I was coming to visit. And that stopped like a few months ago. I mean, we haven't communicated by email since like November. So she went dark on, on that front as well. And now it appears that she has possibly left the state of Idaho. And if she leaves Idaho, that's a direct violation of our court order. I mean, the court order has already been changed, and the new order says that River is no longer a resident of Idaho. So, I mean, that's that. But I mean, we don't know where she is at this point. And all we're getting are these online threats, these attempts to intimidate, and all of that. And it's stupid. It's just super unfortunate. And, and my point of view on it remains the same. And it's kind of like was said in some of these articles that have come out, but I just want to see River. I'm just trying to be a dad, and I'm just a normal guy. I mean, I don't know where like some of this stuff that's being said is even coming from. I'm just a normal guy. I work as a real estate agent in Seattle, Washington. I'm really not that exciting. I mean, I really am not. I mean, I love what I do. I love my work. I have great friends. I have a good family. There's just not much really to note there. And I would also challenge people on this a little bit, because I know that there is probably some skepticism out there. But at the end of the day, I mean, I'm 45 years old. I've been married. I've been divorced. I have one child. I have been in relationships in my life. I went to college. I graduated in 1998. I went to a good college. I've been working in the real estate realm for like 17 years. If I was some sort of violent domestic abuser, I probably wouldn't have a real estate license anymore. I'm licensed in 3 different states. I've owned businesses in multiple different states. I've lived on my own since I was 21. I pay my bills, I file my taxes, I vote, I'm not a felon. I mean, I don't know, like, I'm not perfect, far from it. I've got my issues, and I'll be the first to admit there's a lot of things in my life that I would love to change about myself and the world around us. But I just don't understand where that whole narrative came from. I don't understand it, and it's unfortunate, but I don't control what other people say about me. And I just would say again that if it were a real thing, ask yourself, why isn't there more evidence? I mean, to hold a professional license in, like, for example, I am licensed as a real estate agent in Washington State. You have to get fingerprinted to get that. If you have a record, if you have a criminal record, anything involving this type of thing, violence against other people, there would be, it would harm me professionally enormously. And
Right.
it's not something that has ever happened. It just hasn't happened. So these allegations that are being made are completely ridiculous. They're false and ridiculous and completely unnecessary. They're not helpful. They're not helping the situation at all. And, you know, I mean, it's just, it needs to stop. It really, really needs to stop. You know, I don't doubt that Sarah loves our son very much, and I certainly do as well. And I'm thankful for that. But this narrative of this, you know, we're going to battle over things that aren't even real, it needs to be over. I mean, it's just got to be over. And this person, this Lewis Aurthur person who has injected himself into this situation needs to go away. He just needs to go away. He's not involved in this at all, and to say that he is, it's ridiculous. He knows nothing of our situation, and I guarantee you that he hasn't read any of the court proceedings. He hasn't read any of what actually occurred in court and what has happened over the last 4 years. There's absolutely no way. There's no way. And so that also just needs to be over immediately. And it probably will be, because let me tell you, at this point, law enforcement is involved, and they're going to do what they're going to do. And it's funny because, you know, as this has unfolded over the last several years, a lot of people came to me and asked me, you know, Lee, is this what you really want? Is this what you know, really want to do, and all this sort of thing? And I get that, but, you know, at the end of the day, this is not really about me anymore. It's about what the state of Idaho wants. And I can tell you that the state of Idaho and the people who are involved are not happy with what's happened here. And they as they have said in court, and I don't necessarily always agree with it either, but they've said, we're going to do what's best for the child. And what they have said is best for the child is that I have custody right now, and they're gonna handle Sarah and this other person, how they're gonna do it. And I don't have a lot of say in that. I mean, law enforcement is law enforcement. That's what they do. It's beyond my scope. I don't have a say in that. And so I would just say to them, you know, you need to reconsider the way that you're approaching this, and you need to really think about what you're doing, because you're going to end up in prison or worse. And there's a lot of things that can happen and will happen if you continue on this path. So, you know, that's all I can say about it. I mean, it's obviously very, very unfortunate. It goes without saying that I miss River tremendously. I haven't seen him since the end of October in person. I did a video chat with him in December. That was the last video chat that I did. And, you know, I've had video chats denied since then. I've obviously had visits denied, and I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's just very unfortunate, and it needs to be over. This needs to end, and it needs to end right away. And this narrative, this ridiculous narrative of you know, abuse and some sort of anti-government, you know, overreach or whatever it is, needs to stop. Okay, I mean, threatening our judge who was presiding over the trial, which by the way is now over. The entire civil matter is over. They have issued an order. Right. It's a permanent signed order. Nothing's going to change. They're threatening our judge. They're threatening my attorney, and they're threatening the sheriff of the town where the proceedings happened. I don't know what kind of, like, I don't understand that mentality. I don't understand where you think that's going to get you in life, but it's ridiculous, and it's got, and you know, I will not pretend to understand it. I think these people need to reconsider their choices. I think they're making some very bad choices, and yeah, I mean, that's all I can say about it. I've received an enormous amount of support from my friends, people online, and other people. I'm so grateful for all of the people who have reached out and have either given information or you know, any word of support. And I just very, very thankful for everyone who has helped and continues to help, because we're going to probably need more help with the way that this is going. And that's unfortunate, but that's where we are. So anyway, that's probably all I've got for now. It's kind of a lot.
No, and it's good because people needed to hear what you had to say, and you needed to get the truth out, the real narrative. As so Lewis has a superpower. As weird as that sounds, he is the epitome of all that is wrong with this world wrapped in one package. But he is charismatic, he is convincing, he is smart. I will be the first one to say that. And I have been following him now. In June, it will be 4 years. And we have this core group on this page that all know the truth about this man. And when I first started, I didn't. He was just some idiot down the street in my desert making up his crap. And I just, like you, wanted him gone. And then I went backwards and I learned and I learned. And people came forward. And this is actually the 3rd or 4th page I'm on, because I became such a threat to Lewis that he kept getting my pages shut down. I mean, my page wasn't even up for a month and he was already threatening me. He was threatening to come off his mountain and release his demons on me. And it was just like, who are you? Like, just go away. But like I said, he's smart and he will twist everything and anyone in his path. And he's convincing. And like I said, this group that has been with me and by my side throughout this whole ordeal of what we've been following and trying to get him on, and have succeeded a few times, he has been just, he flips what his cause is faster than most people change underwear. It was about child rape. It was about drug trafficking. It was about child trafficking. It was about angel towers and angel families. And those are families affected by illegal border crossers that have had a member of their family killed. It was about, he just constantly changes. And how he glommed onto this one, from what I've seen and read and caught up on, was the vaccination issue. Your life, your kids.
And I want to talk about that.
And that's what.
Well, and I want to talk about that really. Just to interject on that. I mean, just to be clear, since this thing began, I mean, that is the furthest thing from my mind. I mean, I am not, like, for one thing, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the COVID vaccine, I don't think is approved for people his age anyway. I think if you're younger than 5, I don't think it's even allowed. Yeah,
right,
so
he's too young.
Whatever. And then on this other issue of vaccines in general, that is the furthest thing from my mind. Okay, and if as our order now states, because River is supposed to be with me and he should be with me now, if I get River and he comes to live with me, that's not the first item on my agenda. It hasn't even crossed my mind. I want our boy to be healthy. I want him to be happy and healthy. And, are there things that medical professionals may recommend that we will want to do? Maybe there are, but that is not why I'm doing this, nor has it ever been. It's just not part of the agenda here. I don't know why it has been, all of this rhetoric that they're using to make it what this is about. It's not about that. It's just simply not. And, I don't know what else I can say about that. I was raised in a family where, I think we actually had a pretty moderate viewpoint on healthcare and science in general. Was I vaccinated as a child? Yes, I was, but I think it was a lot less than what they do now. And to be totally honest, I don't know that was a bad thing. I mean, maybe it was good that I didn't have like certain things or wasn't exposed to certain things. Um, I don't have any like huge agenda with that. And I know that Sarah is just absolutely fixated on that as a thing. And, so I don't really know why it's become this huge piece of it. It's not that for me. It's not. So anyway.
Most likely, based on everything we all know, that is 100% Lewis using that for his narrative and for the public, because he is very right wing, depending on the day.
Right. Well,
so
and Sarah was Sarah was anti-vaccination, long ago, and wasn't vaccinated as a child, and it's like this huge rallying cry for her. And I mean, I get it. I mean, whatever. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, like, what's most important to me is getting to see my son. That's what's most important to me.
Right.
Not vaccinations, not some sort of agenda, left or right wing.
Right.
It's just not. I don't care. I just want to be a dad.
Right.
So,
this shouldn't be about politics. This should be about your son and reuniting you, period.
Yeah, that's what I want to do, is be a dad. I honestly, like, in my life, I don't really live a very politically oriented life. I just don't. I don't have time. I'm out there trying to make money, and I've got other goals. I'm not terribly involved in politics on any level. I mean, I'm just not. I mean, it's just not a huge thing for me. And I mean, I live in Seattle because I like the lifestyle. It's a beautiful place to live. We have rivers and mountains and, and the ocean and all these great things. And I mean, part of the reason why I moved there, to be honest, is that I thought eventually maybe, if River did come to live with me at some point, which I, to be totally honest, thought it would be much later. I thought maybe when he was 10 or 12, eventually in the court system, they allow you to start to have a say in which parent you're living with at that point. And so I thought, well, maybe down the road, I will be living in a place that would be really conducive to having River and a place that he would enjoy. And that's what I was thinking about. And I still think that. I'm like, Seattle's a great place to live, especially being a kid. There's a lot of cool things. There's a phenomenal education system, and there's beautiful surroundings. And that's really, I mean, I didn't really necessarily have that growing up. I lived in Ohio. It wasn't like the most exciting place that you could ever be when you're a kid. We didn't have necessarily a lot of outdoor things, or, it was a different culture. And so I wanted River to be exposed to that. And I'm excited that he will be. But that's the point of it. I mean, there isn't this like huge, crazy, like left-wing agenda or whatever. I mean, I wouldn't even know what that is. Like, I don't really study that side of things. And, looking on Lewis's page, like on this, all these things that he's posting, I mean, it's just this giant agenda of like right-wing conspiracy, whatever. And I mean, some of it I sit there and I read it and I watch the videos, and I mean, I can't even figure out who is on which side or what's even being argued about. It's just this huge thing. And I really just I don't really have any like position on what's going on at the border per se. I mean, obviously, like, people who are trying to immigrate to this country, my heart goes out to those people that are struggling and trying to make their way in this world. And I'm an American citizen. I've lived here all my life. And I guess I think that the border should be protected and not anybody in the world should be able to come over them. But I mean, beyond that, like, I'm just a layman. I'm just the average Joe. I don't really think about it that much. I mean, that's why we have U.S. Border Protection and Customs Service. I mean, I'm lucky enough in my life is where I've traveled a fair bit, and I go through naturalization, immigration services a lot, and I see the hard work that those people do, and it's not an easy job. And I mean, that's all I can really say about it. I mean, so just this whole, like, this whole giant agenda that he has going on, I just don't really, frankly, I just don't care. It doesn't involve my son.
No, it doesn't. But he will use him and Sarah as pawns to fit his narrative. And unfortunately, you got stuck in the middle of it. And, I told you before,
Yeah.
we will do everything we can, and Lewis and his little lackeys spend so much time on my page that it's kind of amusing, actually. There will be a response, I guarantee it. And I mean, I think I had unpublished February 20th. I needed a break from everything. I've got a lot of personal things going on right now. Everybody who knows me does. I've always been very transparent in dealing with the public, and I've found that that's the best way to do things, which is why I wanted you to do this. So your transparency could be out there. People could see you are a real person with real emotions who really just cares about your son and none of this other bullshit that somehow Lewis threw you into. So,
Yeah.
I was going to quiet
you. I mean,
like I said, I was going to
that's all it
quietly
really
do
comes
my
down
thing.
to. It's funny. I mean, yeah, I mean, and Sarah, I mean, I just think Sarah associating them, it's just a poor decision on her part. It's not needed and it's not helpful. I mean, it is what it is. Like it's just, it needs to be over. This whole situation needs to be over. The court has decided that River needs to come live with me for a while. And I would just say, going forward, like that's what needs to happen now. And down the road, maybe things will change. Maybe down the road things will change. That is what the court has decided. That decision is final. They're not going to change it. And I just really hope that these people will come to their senses.
Well, Lewis never will. We've already, we've watched him long enough that we just know he won't. But hopefully, with enough pushback from everybody, from law enforcement, he doesn't like me, and I know he will not like the involvement of any of. Somehow we became the squirrels. So the involvement of the squirrels on this, he won't like, because he knows we're worse than dogs with a bone. We do not stop. I have this unfortunate reputation out here as the thing that goes bump in the night. I'm the monster under your bed. It's like I said, it's a long story with all of this, but I actually tried to get away from it a few times, but then somebody writes a book and there I am. So we're not going to stop until you guys are reunited. We won't. That's just how we are. I brought the page back up just for this for now. I'm not even going to focus on any of his other crap. You are our priority. Your son is our priority. Period.
Thank you. It really means a lot to me. And I really want to thank you, specifically for being willing to do this and to just raise the awareness, because that's really all I'm trying to do right now. So.
No, it's. Yeah. Honestly, I can't even imagine what you're going through. I can't. I mean, none of us can.
Yeah, it's not easy.
Yeah, it's not from easy. People that you don't even know, and you'll see it on the page. Just start watching. You'll see the support.
Thank you.
I don't know.
Well, thanks for doing this.
So yeah, And I mean, if you ever want to do a live again, if you want to, just let me know. I'm,
Yeah,
yeah,
no, I think we should. I
I'm,
would like to. I would like to. Let's see,
okay.
let's see how things go. But yeah, no, I would like to. And I really, I just can't say enough. I just really appreciate you being willing to do this. So,
I have a bizarre sense of balance and justice and morals, and I've had a lot of people over the years ask me why I do what I do, and I really don't have an answer beyond it's the right thing to do. So, and there's a lot of support with the group that kind of push me to keep going
yeah,
when I want to throw in the towel. And actually, he's the one that kind of threw us
yeah,
together, so all about the support group. So, but
yeah.
yeah, like I said, I mean, obviously we'll stay in touch, and I crawled out from under my rock, and we'll get you guys, we'll get it done.
Yeah, say best of luck. All the things you're going through right now, and yeah, let's just keep in touch.
Absolutely. And like I said, well, anytime you want to do this, just let me know and we'll make the time.
Okay, thank you, and
All right,
thanks
then.
to anybody who is watching. If you do have any information on Sarah and River, please contact your local law enforcement.
All right.
All right, Rachel.
We will talk soon. It's
Talk to
nice
you.
finally getting to meet
Okay.
in person.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Talk to you.
Yeah. We'll talk soon. All right.
Okay.
Squirrels, everybody. I love you guys. Thanks for putting up with me, like always. And let's bring River home. All right.